Disclaimer: I do not own the Harry Potter world or its characters. I just use the plot, change it up a bit, and speak my own imagination into it. Everything belongs to J.K. Rowling, except some characters which belong to me, as they are not part of the Harry Potter universe and are part of my own imagination. The story may contain some incorrect data, such as Voldemort not being after Harry and some characters being placed in the wrong time zone. This is a Drarry fanfic, although it may not seem like it in some chapters. Yes, it will contain scenes unsuitable for viewers under the age of 18. Chapters with smut will have an age limit set on them, a special warning at the beginning of the video, and a bright red 18 on the thumbnail. Proceed with caution. If you're uncomfortable with such content, please skip the chapters with the red 18 on them. If you just skipped this part and went ahead to watch the video anyways and are disturbed, well then sorry, that's kinda your fault. Saturday morning, breakfast time. All the students were sitting in the great hall having breakfast. The weather outside was absolutely amazing. It was warm and everything was in bloom. Every single little flower. Absolutely gorgeous. Harry was sitting beside Draco, eating his toffee pudding. He had already finished his eggs and bacon, and was slowly finishing out his dessert while rereading the letter the Malfoys had sent to their son. "Isn't it amazing, Harry? You get to spend the summer at our manor," the fifth-year Slytherin said, shaking Harry by the shoulders. The raven-haired boy laughed, trying to squirm out of his grip. Yeah, that's great. Now stop shaking me or I'll choke on my pudding." He slid the letter back to the blonde, looking up at him. Draco leaned back in his chair, smiling brightly. This summer, his family wasn't going anywhere, so Narcissa suggested Harry could stay at their place for the holidays instead of having to go back to his disruptive uncle and aunt, as well as his bratty cousin. Finally, after so many years of begging to let you stay, they both managed to push their work aside and let us stay here, just so you could spend the summer with us. Oh boy. He ran a hand through his hair before punching the air a little. Harry chuckled, ruffling Draco's hair, which messed up the perfect hairstyle. Alright, I get it. You're really excited. So am I. But man, these last 3 days at school will be so long now. The boy set his cup aside and leaned back in his chair as well, laughing as he watched Draco try styling his hair again. Ron walked up behind them and rested his chin on top of Harry's head, hugging him. "What's all the fuss about, eh?" Draco jumped in his seat again as if he was hit by lightning. "After all this time, Harry's finally going to spend the summer at my place." He picked up the letter, shoving it at the ginger's face. Ron blinked, trying to focus on the writing. He took it carefully and skimmed over the lines, a smile on his face. "Well, that's great. My mom was going to invite Harry to stay with us, but I think it's only fair if he spends time with you as well. After all, she's also got quite a family to take care of. Not that you're a burden, Harry, nothing like that, just I think she should focus on her family more. At least for this summer." Harry nodded, looking up at his friend. "You should go somewhere with your family. A camp, perhaps? A hike? Or just go abroad? What's the fun in staying crammed in a house together all summer?" Ron looked away, his smile curving into a frown. "Well, you see, none of those things are quite... how should I put it? Quite the affordable treat. Do you get me?" He looked back at Harry with a forgiving smile. "Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, you can still do more things than just sit inside. I mean, as long as you guys are together, anything should be a journey, right?" The two laughed, and Ron nodded, stretching a bit. "Yeah, that's right. Well, I gotta go. Hermione wanted us to do something today. Apparently it's going to rain in the afternoon, so we want to make the best of the day as it's also going to be pretty warm. We might go to Hogsmeade, get some treats, you know. Then I don't know what comes next, but as for the Hogsmeade, you guys can tag along with us if you want. Unless you got some other plans?" He looked over at Draco. The blonde shook his head. "Nope, I don't think we have any." He looked at Harry for approval. The Slytherin sighed, getting up from his chair as he pulled Draco along. "So it's decided we're all going to Hogsmeade. Anyone else coming?" He looked around the Slytherin table. Pansy stood up, and Blaze put his hand up, showing he was going to come a bit later. He was still busy eating. Crabbe and Goyle were too, so they didn't bother asking them. Another brunette called Camilla stood up quickly, looking excited. "Can I tag along?" Camilla was Pansy's girlfriend, so of course she'd want to come. And they allowed. Once they got everything sorted out at the Slytherin table, they went ahead to fetch Hermione from the Gryffindor one. A few more people linked up with them, and by then, they had a big group of mixed fifth-year Gryffindor and Slytherins ready to go and get high on sugar. Well, what a start to the day. They walked out of the school, mad chatter going on between them. Pansy, Camilla, Hermione, and Susan were giggling over their own stuff, occasionally putting the boys into conversation, whom were goofing around over their own stuff. Once at their destination, they had already lost both Pansy and Camilla, who ran off somewhere to do cute little things couples do, and Draco was the first to notice. "Hey, where did those two lovebirds go? I swear they were here a minute ago. Harry?" He looked around, nudging the boy. "Probably ran off to snog somewhere," Blaise said, catching up with them as promised. "Oh, you're here," said Harry. "Well, even if they did go to have time of their own, let's let them be. After all, we're all going to be separated in 3 days. Gotta enjoy the last moments, eh?" The group nodded and started walking around the place. They visited the Zonko's joke shop, not really searching for anything, but just looking around. Draco seemed pretty interested in the papillon pollen, which was basically powder that would dye anything a temporary bright purple. The shopkeeper popped up beside them, a smirk on his face. "From skin to marble, everything becomes purple," he said, trying to advertise his product. Draco smirked, putting the bottle of glittery powder back in its place. "Purple isn't really my color." Almost an hour or so later, they walked out of the crazy store having had bought a few things. Blaise got a taser wand, Harry got some Puffin Dukes, and Ron got a bunch of Snickle Snappers, accidentally tossing some at Draco's feet, causing him to run at least 4 streets down until he finally outran the blonde. They spent a good few hours walking around the stores, buying candy and treats. Draco personally had to make sure Harry didn't drink any more butterbeer, as he was already on like the 8th cup. They goofed around, messing up a few stores' item stocks and causing quite some trouble. Well, what else could you expect from a bunch of fifth-year students when it's almost holiday time? It was nearing midday, and the heat was becoming unbearable. Draco even had to take his shirt off. At least he had a white tank top on. He said it was because of the heat, but it was obvious he just wanted to show off his muscles, which he barely had. The boys had no problem taking their shirts off and all, but for some reason Hermione didn't appreciate it when Ron told her she could take her shirt off if she was getting hot. And once she actually was, they knew they had to turn back. Blaise's hands were full of candy, so everyone was munching on those on the way. As they were near exiting Hogsmeade, they found Pansy and Camilla giggling over something while sharing what looked like a heart-shaped lollipop. Cute. 7 p.m., Harry was laying in his bed, fanning himself with the potions book. It was that hot. Even though it rained, it was still too warm for him. Draco was sitting on the windowsill, holding onto the window frame while dangling his legs outside, getting them wet under the rain. "Draco, get off there, you'll fall." Harry looked up at the fellow Slytherin weakly, finding it hard to even move his head. "Oh, shut up, I'm trying to cool down." "Must point out, works better than your textbook." "Ow!" He felt a hard object hit his shoulder. "Melon, Harry, that hurts." He looked back at the boy, pissed. Harry groaned and slowly crawled off the bed, walking up behind the blonde as he wrapped his arms around him from behind. Draco shivered in disgust, scrunching his nose as he tried to wriggle out of his friend's grip. Ew, get off me, you're sweaty and sticky and... Ugh! He pressed his hand to the other's face, pushing him away. He started squirming a lot, so he quickly pulled his legs out of the window, hopping off the windowsill. His feet were soaking wet, so he slipped and fell back, banging his head on the radiator. Harry clutched his stomach, bent over, and burst into laughter. He was probably high on the hot weather or something, because he laughed harder than he should have, gasping for air. Draco grabbed the back of his head, hissing in pain. Harry, you... Ugh! For fuck's sake, stop laughing, you dork! He got up, grabbing the brunette by the white collar of his shirt that was sticking out from under his gray uniform jumper, pushing him down on the bed. He looked like he was ready to punch the living devil out of him, breathing heavily. No, 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 no. I'm sorry. I swear I won't laugh anymore. I'm sorry. Harry babbled, a little scared. Draco was a strong bloke, and could break a nose good if he really wanted to. Draco calmed down a bit, getting back up as he rubbed the back of his head. You're lucky this time, Potter. Lucky you were sorted into Slytherin, and lucky you're my best friend. He looked back at him with a grin. Harry sat up, running a hand through his messy black hair with a smile. Well, you know, I could have been sorted into Gryffindor. I had a choice after all. He had an unusual tease in his voice, almost degradation even. But you didn't. I wonder why. Draco snapped, tilting his head as he walked up to him slowly, his stride as mysterious as always. Because I know how to pick my friends. He looked up at the taller teen who was standing before him with a dominant expression, arms folded across his chest. This is why I like you. His grin widened and he laughed, patting Harry on the shoulder as he sat down beside him, looking out of the window at the pouring rain. Damn, can you believe it? Just 2 more days, and it's summer at my place for both of us. He wrapped an arm around Harry's shoulder, falling back on the bed with him. Just imagine. No more ranting of your uncle, no more bullying from your cousin. Luxurious bedroom, huge outdoor swimming pool, servants, good food, space, and no school. He waved his palm through the air slowly, as if the things he said were right before them. Yeah, Harry chuckled. I'm looking forward to this summer with the Malfoys.